When you are ready to begin your eAchieve class, you need to go to eAchieve.com. This will load our general webpage, which you see here. When you want to log into your classes, come to the far right-hand corner. There is a login tab that you must click on, and this will load the Blackboard login screen. So you should have been sent your username and password to log into Blackboard. So you enter that, click Login. This is the general welcome screen that you get when you log into Blackboard. You'll notice that here on the left-hand side we have general school announcements. Those would be things to pay attention to. Those are for all students that are eAchieve students. We also have some social events over here on the right-hand side. Those would be events that go on all over the state of Wisconsin, because remember that we have students that attend our school from all over Wisconsin. But what's really important is what comes a little bit lower. You will have your list of classes underneath, and these will be, your list of classes will contain not only your eAchieve classes, but if you have any classes in your face-to-face school that have Blackboard pages, you will see those classes as well. So eAchieve and face-to-face classes will all line up together in your My Classes list. So I'm just going to go into a sample class here. We're going to go into basic grammar. All of our classes look essentially the same. When you log in, you see that there's a banner at the top that states which class you are logged into, and then right underneath that banner you will see the announcements for the class. These announcements are very important to check every week, because teachers do post a new announcement every week telling you important information that you need to know about the class. But the main navigation of the class really happens over here on the left-hand part of the screen. These buttons that line up on the left-hand side are your buttons that allow you to navigate the class. And the buttons should be pretty much the same for every class that you would log into in eAchieve. And the buttons are placed in order of how you would use them. So obviously when you first start your class, you're going to want to start in the Getting Started button, and the teacher will leave instructions under that button for how to get started in the class. The second button down is the Pace Chart button. This is an extremely important button because in that button is linked the pace chart for the class. This pace chart breaks down every single week of the class and what you need to do for that week. Any item in red is a graded item, meaning that's an assignment you have to submit for a grade. It also explains and gives you warnings as to when our progress reports are going to be coming out. We do progress reports 3 times each semester. This pace chart should be followed as closely as possible. If you stay on pace, you have much more success in the class. And if you wanted to print this pace chart, it's easy. You just can kind of highlight as I'm doing. You can copy it, you can paste it into a Microsoft Word document or a Google Doc and then print it. So let's go back to the main screen here. That's the pace chart button. That's the second button down because it's extremely important. Right underneath that we have our live eSessions button. If I click on this, you'll basically have a couple of links. There's no live links now, so I'm not going to click on it, but you will have some links that will take you into the live eSessions for your class. Each class has a live eSession for 1 hour per class per week. And the eSession times vary. I'll tell you how to find your eSession times in a moment, but if you wanted to enter into that session, you would click on the Live eSessions button and then click into the link that's there. Every eSession is recorded, so if you can't make the live session, you could just watch the recorded session. So if I just click on recorded sessions here, you'll see there are links for all the sessions for basic grammar for each week. And you could click into these sessions and launch them and watch whatever recorded session you would like. Right underneath that is the announcements button. That will just take you back to the main screen where you can read the announcements. There is a course information button. This is important to look at, especially when you're first starting the class, because it'll give you good general information about your class that you should know. And then the very important button, and right underneath that is the staff information button. That will give you information about who your teacher is, how to contact your teacher, and most importantly, I think, when are your class eSessions? If you do want to attend those live, you need to know when they are, and that information will be under the staff information button. Now, right below the staff information button, we will have, and this is where things could get a little different depending on the class. Some teachers do unit buttons like I have here in this basic grammar class. Some teachers, rather than doing unit buttons, they will just have one button that says lessons. And then if you click on that Lessons button, they will break their units down into folders underneath that Lessons button. Either way, whether it's unit buttons or a lesson button, these buttons are extremely important because this is where you're going to find all of the work that you need to complete in the class. I need to stress this very strongly. In eAchieve, all of your work is going to be submitted right into Blackboard. You're not going to email any assignments to teachers. All work is going to be found and submitted in Blackboard. So if I clicked on my Unit 1 button, you'll see there's a little explanation of what Unit 1 of the class is at the top, and there's a couple little cartoons here that go with it. And then right underneath that, I have my weekly folders. So if I was working on week 1 or week 2, I would just click into the week I need to go to. Let's say we're doing week 2. It'll explain what you need to do that week. There might be some videos linked there for you to watch. It'll explain which pages in your online textbook to view. And then if there is an assignment, it will appear there as well. Like right under here, you can see there's a Unit 2 quiz. So they have a quiz to do during week 2. So any work, like I said, any assignments, any quizzes, any papers that would need to be submitted, any projects that would need to be submitted, there will be a link right in the class for you to submit that work, to complete that work. So we do not need to be emailing work to teachers. And all of this work will be found, like I said, either under these unit buttons, or it'll say lessons button. Click on the lessons button and it'll break it down into units. Right underneath the unit buttons, it will be a button that's either called discussion board or collaboration. And the collaboration button is basically where we will house any tools that you would use to collaborate with your classmates. So in this class, we only use the discussion board, so I just called it the discussion board button. If there would be a discussion board for a certain week, you'd have to click into the discussion board button to then be able to click into whatever forum you wanted to join and post a comment into the discussion board. Underneath discussion board, we have My Grades. This is very important. If you want to check your grades and see how you're doing in the class, you have to click on My Grades and actually look through the grade book. See, you have to look for each assignment individually, and right underneath the assignment, there's usually a little link that says Comments, and you can read the teacher's comment, and you can obviously see how you scored on that assignment. We try to turn around all grades within 3 days, so you can keep checking My Grades on a regular basis to see how you're doing on the assignments you're submitting. Right under My Grades is the Textbooks button. If you have a textbook, which most classes in eAchieve do have an online textbook, there will be a link underneath the Textbooks button to log into your textbook. Oftentimes teachers, like I have here, will also post a little tutorial for how to use your online textbook so that you obviously know how to log in and use your textbook. And then right underneath the Textbooks button is a little How-Tos button, which is important, because if there's anything that you need to know how to do to be able to complete an assignment in the class, or just to be able to navigate the class, I will link a little tutorial here for you. So as you can see, I have a tutorial on how to create and share a Google Doc, if you didn't know how to do that, how to make a copy of a Google Doc, how to submit assignments in Blackboard, very important thing to know how to do. All of these things will be linked, all these little tutorials would be linked underneath the How-Tos button, and pretty much every teacher in eAchieve has these little kind of tutorials linked in their How-Tos button. So if you're ever wondering how to do something, check the How-Tos button first. You might find a tutorial that'll help you, and if you don't, then you contact your teacher. And at the very bottom is a Websites button. This is just a button that teachers would use to link any extra websites that could be helpful for you in the class. So I have a couple of websites linked here for basic grammar, here at the bottom under the Websites button. So those are your basic buttons that you're going to find in every class, and that's the basic information you would need to know on how to navigate your class for eAchieve Academy.